What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's doing good today, tonight, whenever you're watching this. This is a subject matter that I've been wanting to bring up lately, and I just have not really had a whole lot of time to myself to really get on any subject matter. For that, I do apologize. Definitely been getting a lot of snowy weather, that's for sure. There's been a lot of things going on lately, especially when it comes to subject matters with ICE and, a few other things, Minnesota, all that crap. And I tell you what, man, the nonsense just keeps coming. That's all I gotta say about that. That's for sure. But anyways, I'm sure by now everybody's been hearing about the situation with Renee Good the past few weeks. That's been a subject matter that's been talked about endlessly all across social media. And then there was another ICE involved shooting that happened with what's his name, Alex Pretti, or Pretty, however you say his last name. I'm pretty sure it was Pretti, but I don't know. I'll just pronounce it like that. But anyways, a lot of people have been hearing about what happened with him. And first and foremost, before I get any further with the subject matter, I will say this right now. Do I think the dude needed to die? No. Do I think he deserved to die? No. Do I feel for his family and everybody else that cared for him? Yes. I do feel for his family and all of his friends and everybody else that cared for him. It is a sad situation for sure. My heart does ache for them big time. But that being said, do I think that he should have done what he did? No. I don't think he should have done what he did. Now, I'm sure some people are going to sit there and be like, oh, but did you watch the videos of what happened? Oh, but do you think, you really think, this justifies what anybody does? You know what? This isn't me trying to justify what anybody did here. Yes, I will admit, I do think both sides were wrong in this situation. I do feel like there was a lot that could have been handled differently with this situation. But that being said, I definitely don't think that Alex should have done what he did. Because, I'm sorry, but everybody's going on and on about how, those who are part of ICE or those who support ICE should be ashamed of themselves for what happened to Alex and all this crap. Talk about how, Alex did this and that for his community. He served and this and that. He did a lot for his community, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, everybody has a right to their opinions. I have nothing against that in particular. But here's the deal. First off, to everybody who keeps sitting there saying, oh, he was a nurse, he did this and that. Fun fact. He was actually fired from his job months prior to him losing his life. I only know that for a fact because this guy that I follow on Facebook and YouTube, JD Daily, really cool dude. He talked about this and, he looked into this situation and, come to find out, the dude was fired for some inappropriate behavior. What all did he do that was inappropriate? I honestly don't know. I didn't look that far into the situation. But that being said, like I said, months before he was killed, he was fired for inappropriate behavior. Or it might have been weeks before. I'll have to check again. But he was fired from his job at some point before he got killed. That, to me, is definitely something important to think about. Not because I want to find anything negative about the guy. Because like I said, I do believe it's screwed up on what happened to the guy. But at the same time, I'm sorry. I'm going to piss a lot of people off for saying this. And you know what? I don't care. If you're going to sit there and try and intervene with ICE or cops or anybody else like that are just trying to do their jobs, do what they're supposed to do, and something happens to you, whether you get locked up for it or hurt or whatever, or anything else like that, I have no sympathy for you. Again, I've said it a few times, nobody should lose their life the way Alex did. But at the same time, this could have been avoided. Same thing with Renee Good. She'd probably still be alive had she not done what she did. I'm sorry, as much as I feel for Renee Good's family as well, consequences have actions. That's how life goes. You don't sit there, you don't get to make all these crappy decisions in your life and expect nothing to happen. That's not how life works. Sorry, not sorry. There's just been a lot going on with this situation. It's just so many people, a lot of people are victimizing Alex too and talking all this and that, going, but Alex did this, Alex did that. Oh, Alex was actually right-leaning. Alex was this guy, that guy. He was pro-Second Amendment. He was all for protecting himself. Oh, but, he helped a lot of patients, da-da-da-da-da. You know what? Maybe that's not a lie. But whether or not some of that crap is true, I don't know. But to be honest, I really don't care either. Because honestly, I really didn't know anything about the guy prior to this situation. And honestly, if I didn't know the dude, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to sit here and cry a freaking river over somebody that lost his life, that lives 2 states away from where I live that I know nothing about. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. If he was some popular dude on the internet or whatever that I didn't follow, or let me just put it this way. If the situation was different, and, let's say he was heading somewhere or whatever, and somebody just randomly shot and killed him for no reason, I would probably have some sympathy for the dude. 100%. That's for sure. Situations like that, I will definitely have sympathy for people. That's for sure. Maybe I should have worded a little bit about what I said a little better, but, with all that being said, there's a few things I want to bring up for. Why is it that so many people are pissed off about what ICE is doing, but nobody seems to have an issue with the amount of people coming to this country illegally? Like, just a serious freaking question. And to anybody who's going to sit there and be like, well, because this happened, that happened, You realize that, we are on stolen land and all this crap, blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what? First off, to anybody that's going to bring up the freaking stolen land nonsense, I'm sorry, but you guys need to do your research. Pick up a history book, do whatever. And maybe you'll learn something. Maybe learn the difference between stolen land and conquered land, too. And second of all, we're not talking about a situation that happened hundreds and hundreds of years ago. We're talking about what's going on now. I'm sorry, I get that some of the people that are trying to come to this country are only trying to get away from some of the issues that are going on in their country. And, I do feel for them. There's people that want to try and make their lives better, and they're just trying to get away from whatever they're dealing with in their country. But at the same time, if you're not going to do it legally and you get in trouble for it, I kind of have a hard time feeling sympathetic. That's just my honest opinion. I'm sure I'm going to piss a lot of people off for saying that. And you know what? I don't care. That's just my opinion. And if anybody has a serious problem with my opinion, oh well. There's lots of other people out there. I'm sure they're pretty sympathetic with what's going on with people being deported. Oh, well, ICE is over here freaking attacking Americans, blah, blah, blah. I call bullshit on that. I'm sorry about my foul language, but I call bullshit on that big freaking time. And then there's this thing that's going on tomorrow, as of the time I'm making this video, where a lot of liberal celebrities, liberal politicians, and people that are just left-leaning are getting online and are saying things like, oh, tomorrow, don't take your kids to school, don't go to work, don't go shopping, don't go doing any of this stuff, because ICE is going to be out and about. We all got to stay home and do all this and that, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm sorry, but I have work tomorrow. I can't stay my ass home. And you know what? I'm sorry, but I got multiple other things to worry about than what ICE is doing. Like, the fact that people are coming up with that day tomorrow, it just cracks me up. I'm sorry. A lot of celebrities out there like Macklemore, freaking bands like Flowbots, Green Day. It's just, first off, with Macklemore, that opinion definitely, his opinion definitely does not surprise me, considering a little over a year ago, while he was going on a pro-Palestine rant, he decided to just randomly be like, yeah, fuck America. Yeah, Macklemore, you're the last loony that I'm ever gonna get my information from. That's for sure. Another thing that I want to bring up in this subject matter, and this is something that I'm going to talk more about in another video, but do people even care about the amount of innocent lives that were taken because of illegal immigrants? The amount of people that have died because they were killed by illegal immigrants? Has anybody ever thought of people like Laken Riley, Molly Tibbetts? I bet you guys have probably never heard of the situation that happened years ago where this family of four, they were going down the road, and this illegal immigrant got drunk, got behind the wheel, and hit the family head on, killed the father, who was a firefighter, by the way, the son and daughter. The mother survived, but she was injured. I can't imagine being that mother, losing her 3 children like that to some drunken illegal immigrant, and people sticking up for them. Sticking up for illegal immigrants, I should say. And you want to know the crappy thing about that situation? That illegal immigrant got only 2 to 3 years in prison for what he did. I honestly don't understand people, especially people on the left, man. You got so many people that are talking nonstop about Renee Good and Alex Pretti, and it's just so much nonsense that's being talked about. And, people, the sad thing about that is a lot of it comes from the same people who sat there and said that Charlie Kirk deserved what he had coming. And then on top of that too, when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, everybody kept talking nonstop about, how, people felt super devastated about Charlie Kirk, but had not a damn word to say about school shootings or anything like that. Didn't feel the same sympathy towards kids that lost their lives. I'm sorry, but to everybody else that's going on and on about, school shootings, I could say the same damn thing about those who are going on and on about Alex Pretti and Renee Good. And another thing that I want to bring up about Alex Pretti as well. I meant to mention this earlier in the video, but it's just now reoccurred to me. But I watched a video last night where Alex Pretti was sitting there trying to start shit with ICE. I think this was like earlier this month. He was trying to start shit with them. He spit on them, was yelling at them, and kicked one of their taillights out. And, one of the agents ended up going after him, and I don't know what happened from there on out, but I tell you what, man. To everybody that's sitting there saying that he didn't do shit, I beg to differ. But that being said, like I said a few times, I'm not saying the dude deserved to die. He shouldn't have lost his life. I do feel for his family and all, but some people, man, it's just, people have gotten so critical over quite a few things lately, and it's ridiculous. But anyways, I've said what I had to say. Sorry if I sounded like I was going off the rails with certain subjects, but I will try and talk about this situation again as soon as I can. Like I said, I've been kind of busy with things lately, so yeah. You guys all take care. Be safe now.